In this video, I'm going to show you how much dividends I received for owning these 3 different ETFs. As you can see on this screen over here, on June 30 last month, I received a bit more than $1,000. As I said before, it's a quarterly dividend payout. So if you divide that number by 3 months, I end up with $354 every single month. And to make sure you understand, the investing strategy I follow is not a dividend investing strategy, meaning I'm not focused on buying high dividend paying stocks. So if you Google what is a good dividend yield, you get multiple results, obviously. So one website over here, thebalance.com, it says, in general, dividend yields 2 to 4% are considered strong, and anything above 4 can be a great buy, but also a risky one. So if I compare that 2 to 4% or 2 to 6% dividend yields to my ETFs, then I see for the All-World ETF, it has a dividend yield of 2.12%. And if you scroll down here a little bit on the distributions tab, you can see exactly how much dollars you receive for every share you own. So if we take a look at my portfolio, you can see that I have 741 shares of the All-World ETF. And here you can see the dividends I received for owning this ETF, so the All-World ETF, so which is $621. So that should be correct if you multiply 741 shares by those 83 dollar cents. You should get $621. So then I also own the S&P 500 ETF, and this one has a dividend yield of 1.4%. And again, if we take a look at my portfolio, so the S&P 500 ETF, I have 1,484 shares, and for every share I own, I receive 25 dollar cents. So if we take a look at the dividends again, so here we have the S&P 500 dividend. So I received $379 for owning those ETF shares. And here you can see that owning the S&P 500 ETF is definitely not a dividend investing strategy, because that dividend yield is definitely on the lower end. So then I also own 106 shares of the Emerging Markets ETF, as you can see over here. So if we have a look at the Emerging Markets ETF, so this has a dividend yield of 3.2%. So that's definitely higher than the All-World ETF and the S&P 500 ETF. And for that one, I received $65 in total. So as you can see, that is 62 cents for every share I own. Then I often get asked why I own distributing ETFs and not accumulating ETFs. So for example, on my latest YouTube video, this person asked, just wondering, why did you choose the distributing ETF over the accumulating ETF? Then I got more of those comments on previous videos as well. So well, I do own the accumulating ETF in my retirement account, as you can see over here. So this is my retirement account. So here I only have one ETF, which is the All-World Accumulating ETF. So the reason why I chose to buy the accumulating ETF in my retirement account is because I can't use this money anyway. So in my regular account, I like to see the dividends coming in, so I can choose myself what to do with the money. And if you don't know the difference between the two, an accumulating ETF reinvests the dividends automatically, so you don't receive the dividends in your account. And maybe you're wondering, why would I not choose a dividend strategy, as it clearly pays more money monthly? So I've read a few books on investing and also on dividend investing in particular, and most books and the studies I've read show that investing in an S&P 500 index outperforms a dividend strategy over the long term, meaning multiple decades. So if you're decades away from your retirement like me, growth stocks like my strategy, an S&P 500 ETF for example, do better than dividend stocks. At least that is what I conclude from the research I've done on this topic. So for example, if we search on dividend investing on Amazon.com, you see this book at one of the top choices over here with lots of reviews. So I've read this book, and for example, this is one of the pages of the book. So I've bought the ebook, and as you can see over here, the author writes, is beating the S&P 500 really your goal? If so, then dividend investing might not be for you. Maybe you should just put your money in an S&P 500 index fund and forget about it. Or for example, this line, I also don't really understand that line. So if you collected $50,000 in dividend income last year, would you care what the S&P 500 did? Well, yeah, why not? Because the S&P 500 is a pretty safe bet. You know, there are 500 companies in that S&P 500 index, the 500 biggest companies in the US. And furthermore, investing in such a fund, an S&P 500 index funds, is more often way cheaper than buying individual dividend stocks. Furthermore, just buying shares of an S&P 500 ETF, for example, will also save you way more time than buying individual stocks. You need to research all those individual stocks before you buy. So it will cost you way more time and energy. And also you need the knowledge as well if you want to buy individual stocks. So for me, when reading those books on dividend investing, I'm not really convinced about a dividend investing strategy. And that's also because I'm decades away from retirement.
Jared, I'm here to tell you that I'm quitting.